What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the studio, friends. Hanging out tonight. Listening to some 80s retro synthwave mix. Dash Miami Vice. / royalty-free copyright background music. Courtesy to YouTube and the people who did put this together. Dude, if you want to check this out and listen to it, because it's just awesome music, this is what I got going on. That's it. It's got the Miami Vice in the background here. Check that out. Look at those. Look at that. Two badasses leaning up against a Ferrari. Get ready to go kick some ass and pick up women. You know, that was the frickin' 80s, man. How do I know that? Because I've watched movies, all right? I've listened to the bands that have come from the 80s. I've seen the art. I've seen it, man. I've practically lived in the 80s. In my mind, of course. I was born in 91. If you grew up in the 80s, I'm slightly envious of you. If you got to go see some of the greatest bands of all time in concert, Def Leppard, Van Halen, Journey, REO Speedwagon. Dude, there's so many. If you got to see an 80s band in their prime in the 80s, I'm envious of you, because what a time to be alive. You think about back in the day when they had real freaking muscle cars, American Muscle, back when they actually made cars, for men to pick up chicks with, dude. Those with a mullet, while sporting a mullet, and I tell you what, mullets are making a comeback. I'm totally for it, dude. I think it's awesome. If I could grow one, I would. My problem is, like, when I try to grow my hair out every year, it's like I go through this stage where it's like, I'm gonna grow my hair out, and I'll try it, and I'll get start curling down around my neck, and it's like, man, it's like super hot because I have super thick hair, so I end up chopping it off, and I just, I can't do it. But the 80s. I was thinking about some of the movies from the 80s earlier. I was thinking about Terminator, dude, Terminator 2. I grew up with Terminator and Terminator 2. I love T2 from the 80s. It's just everything about that movie puts you in a time machine and takes you back to the 80s, And that's why I love that movie so much. Granted, it's pretty much about robots and AI taking over the world. That's what Terminator is. But, just everything about that era that they portray in that movie is badass, dude. You know what I mean? It really is. And it really does put a smile on my face thinking about it. And, if there was one band, though, if there was one concert in the 80s that, if I could travel back in time and visit, I still think and this is a hard one, believe me, I'm having a difficult time picking one, but I was thinking about it earlier, if I had to pick one, which one? And dude, I think my answer is still Journey, 1981, live in Houston. One of the best albums I've ever listened to. And I have a hard time saying that, because I love so many bands. I love Def Leppard. I love Van Halen, dude. I would love to see Van Halen, or Eddie's dead now, bless his heart. But I would love to see those guys live in the 80s, man. So if you did, that's awesome. That's awesome. But dude, there's so many other cool things. You look at relics that were made, products that were made in the USA back then. Rock'em Sock'em Robots come out, and this could be a really long episode getting into the 80s. And just even the Star Wars era in the 80s, the little Star Wars action figures, the toys that they made back in the 80s, they're just so much cooler than the crap ones we get now, in my opinion. But yeah, man, I just wanted to step into a time machine tonight, hang out with you guys, take a trip back to the 80s and reflect on that generation, and the cool things that came from that generation that really shaped the future, So just something to think about tonight. I hope you guys have a great night. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Swordfire X5 out.